Hey guys, it's Robert here for Basketball Zone and for Pensare Basketball, here to break down the Raptors losing on the road in a blowout loss to the Golden State Warriors. Here are my three takeaways. So my first takeaway, as always, we're going to start on a positive note, and that positive note is going to be about the Golden State Warriors. It is so awesome to watch a team move the ball and play this way. The Raptors haven't really seen a healthy Golden State team since they played them in the finals. And frankly, neither team has looked the same after that series. Obviously, with the Raptors, Kawhi left, a lot of changes for Golden State Warriors. Durant left, Clay got injured naturally during that series, and they really haven't looked like themselves. Looked like Draymond was kind of washed the last couple of years, just wasn't really having that type of defensive player of the year impact. And it's really refreshing to see this team recharged and refreshed this year. We're seeing them move the ball. Jordan Poole has been a revelation for them as a young player on the rise. And Andrew Wiggins has been really good for them. And seems like that whole COVID issue has really allowed him to bond with his teammates. So I've watched a few Golden State Warriors games this year. They're really good. They're a really good team. It's the perfect blend of veterans who are over themselves and are there for one reason, and young players who have bought into that system. So kudos to Steve Kerr. Kudos to Steph Curry. Tonight, the Raptors did a number on Steph, but you know what? He's an unselfish superstar. He's willing to let his teammates eat. And if the Raptors are going to gang up on him the way that they did tonight, he's a willing passer. He's not a selfish player. So obviously, this is just a team with a lot of weapons. They had some really good players out tonight, including Clay, but obviously they were also missing GP2 and GP3, Gary Payton, and Gary Payton's awesome. Like, he's one of my favorite. Gary Payton is awesome. He's one of my favorite defenders in the league. He's one of my favorite backup guards, and even though he's older, on the older side because of the path he's taken to the league, he's like a younger player. There's a lot of guys on this team that just work. They work hard. So it was interesting for the Raptors, a team that is quite notorious for not moving the ball as much, to see a team play the complete opposite way and to see how beautiful the game can be and how wonderfully open these looks can be. So kudos to the Golden State Warriors for playing a great game. My second takeaway of the night is that Scottie Barnes just has not looked like himself. He started out the game extremely sluggish, seemingly step slow on rotations, step slow on defensive coverages, step slow on rebounds, just watching guys, kind of coast past him. And, he didn't look that engaged in the Sacramento game either. So it was kind of concerning. He came out in the second half with a lot more energy, and he was initiating the offense, which I have been a big proponent for. And the Raptors cut it to 9. So they looked really good with Scottie running the point. And I think Nick Nurse is going to try that a little bit more. And if you've been listening to me, man, for the last 3 months, I've been saying Scottie Barnes is your point guard. Scottie Barnes is your point guard because he makes such great decisions with the basketball. There might be a little bit more going on with him. I think there's probably, I don't want to read too much into body language, but there's definitely some chemistry stuff. I mean, here's a hint for any basketball fans out there. If your team that you're watching is doing this a lot, like kind of looking at each other, like confused and like spreading out their hands, kind of like, what the hell is going on here? If that's happening a lot, there's probably some chemistry issues. There's probably a lot of miscommunication, not a lot of, healthy communication happening. And there's been quite a few plays like that over the last few weeks, especially with Scottie Barnes and some of his teammates, where it seems like, especially Fred VanVleet, where it feels like the body language is just, something's off. There's something just not right about this team. And it seems like, obviously, the halftime, someone said something about it because Scottie came out, he was initiating the offense, they cut it to 9. And then as soon as they got it to 9, it seems like Fred VanVleet was like, all right, it's my turn with the ball, give me the ball back. And then they went back down to 20 and they were down by 20 and they just never really recovered after that. And I think the other thing that might be a problem with him is his touch around the basket has absolutely disappeared. I think part of that is definitely the thumb. He hasn't looked the same since he came back from that injury. I think if you've ever played basketball, if you got a thumb injury, your shot around the rim, your touch is just going to be gone. I think it affects three-point shooting a lot less because, again, three-point shooting is all about your fingertips. But in terms of like positioning the ball, palming it, etc., that's probably bothering him. And you can notice like that one layup he did make, he made with his other hand, his left hand. So noticing that his right hand efficiency has gone down considerably. And I'm just hoping that, this is not a championship season. If he's injured, instead of risking re-injury or something chronic or, something more lingering, just take a few days off, man. It's a dominant hand injury. This is definitely not, something you need to play through. And I hope that he's not feeling some sort of necessity to tough it out because OG is out and Watanabe is out. But I would rather just see him get healthy. That being said, he hustled his butt off on defense. In the second half, he tried his best. He was on the glass. He was crashing the offensive glass. He made some beautiful passes once he had the ball in his hands. Got to the line, hit his first two. It's the first game where he has 2 threes. So that's pretty exciting. But overall, I think Scottie's looked a little bit different since that hot start that he got off to. And I really don't think that it's a rookie wall or anything the defense is doing. I think it's just the team around him is very different with Siakam back and Gary Trent having such a large role on offense. OG also is a willing passer. He's out of the lineup right now. So I think it's pretty natural that his numbers have gone down as his teammates have changed. My third takeaway of the night is that a lot of players look a little better than advertised. I mean, last year Gary Trent was a pretty below average player, league average. He was below league average, and he'd been that way for 3 years. And this year he's a league above average player. He's an above average player on both ends of the basketball, which just was not expected coming in. I think Delano Banton for a 46th overall pick has looked amazing, right? He looks like a really serviceable backup. I don't think most people were projecting that from him. Scottie Barnes looks like a real starter and connector on offense, and perhaps occasional facilitator and a good rebounder and a capable, NBA defender. That's just not something that most people expect from out of a rookie to contribute on a winning team. I think OG Anunoby's looked good. I really do. I think he's had some offensive explosions that have really looked amazing. I think Siakam's shot looks good, right? I do. I think Siakam and Fred VanVleet, their shot has looked really good this season. Fred VanVleet has been more efficient this season than he was last season. He's been more efficient around the rim. Pascal Siakam, right? Nick Nurse mentioned it, that his shot has been a little bit restructured and they've been working with him on it, and he expects him to have a more efficient season. So if you're a Raptor fan out there, I think you might have heard this phrase that the sum is greater than the parts. I think here the parts are greater than the sum. Something is off about this team in terms of how they're playing. They're not really playing together. They're not playing for each other. But if this team was playing for each other, watch out, because this is a pretty talented team across the board. The pieces are there. I believe they do fit. I just think that they're playing the wrong role on offense. That's really all I'll say about it. I think these long, wiry defenders can create havoc in the passing lanes and in the paint and can shut down a lot of teams in the NBA. I think there's just enough offense and just enough scoring and just enough talent on the offensive end for this team to be a top 10, top 12 offense in this league. And if you can be a top 5 defense and a top 10 offense, I think you're a sneaky title contender, or a fringe title contender. But instead, this team has played more like a borderline lottery team. And I think a lot of that has to do with injuries. I think a lot of it has to do with chemistry. And I think a lot of it has to do with shot distribution. I would like to see this team play together. I would like to see Scottie Barnes have the ball more at the point of attack, on the break, makes great decisions. And I would just like to see Nick Nurse rein in some of his more, let's call them chuckers. I would like to see him rein in some of his chuckers and ask them to maybe reconsider giving up a somewhat terrible shot for a slightly better shot, moving the ball a little bit more, initiating the offense earlier. I just think that the offense is just so predictable, and sometimes the ball sticks too much. But if it weren't sticking, and if we took a note from this team that we just played against, the Golden State Warriors, I think we'd be a lot better off for it. So I'm really hoping that the Raptors figure it out. Off to the next one. Tough loss tonight. Let us know in the comments below, what were your 3 takeaways? What'd you think of my 3 takeaways? Hit that subscribe button, hit like, and check out Pensare Basketball. We do some really cool film breakdowns and some X's and O's and stuff like that. We're coming out with a new video this week, so check that out too. And if you haven't already, check out the videos that Leo took from the Sacramento game of Scottie Barnes, a little bit behind the scenes of Scottie Barnes, maybe some stuff you didn't see on TV. Check that out. It's in the shorts, and it's also on the Basketball Zone channel. Check that out, and again, peace.